Do you have questions on how to properly care for your pet? When is the right time to get your pet spayed or neutered? Or maybe you're looking for a place for your pet to stay while you go on vacation. Mapleview Animal Hospital. Dr. Bader from Mapleview Animal Hospital gives you great advice for your pets. Mapleview Animal Hospital on Panther Drive at the corner of Riley and 136th on Holland's north side. And on the web at mapleview.animalhospital.net. Mapleview Animal Hospital. They love your pet like you do.
Thank you for all coming. Today is a very important day. As I was mentioning to WHTC Radio, this is probably one of the most important years in the history of the Holland Historical Trust since 1937, when it was founded by Willard Wickers. A very important day. Thank you for all the leaders that have come to represent Holland Charter Township, Park Township, and the City of Holland. Thank you for coming. Without your help, we wouldn't be here today. This is a significant day for the museum, the community's future. Community leaders have petitioned the City of Holland, Holland Charter Township, and Park Township to place a request to voters asking them to support the museum on November 4. Our museum has been a pillar of the Holland community since 1937 by preserving more than 28,000 items spanning over 400 years of diverse local history. Just this year, the museum was accredited by the American Alliance of Museums, placing it in the top 3% of museums nationwide. We can't lose this treasure, and we are excited about the opportunities ahead. The museum is ready to take the next step in discovering our past and inspiring our future. Who else will preserve our history, you have to ask yourself. So, I'd like to introduce Park Township Supervisor Jerry Hunsburger to give a few words.
Geoff, thank you. It's exciting to see this turnout for this very important issue. I'd like to recognize Terry Nienhuis, my counterpart, the supervisor at Holland Charter Township, and I'm representing the City of Holland, Councilman Peters. Mayor Dykstra is en route from Grand Rapids, and I think he's stuck in one of those construction zones that we all run into. It's important to emphasize that all three governmental units unanimously supported this millage request. We've also supported bridge funding in recent years to keep the Holland Historic Trust and this museum going. We see it as an investment. We see it as an important regional asset and treasure, as Geoff just referred to. The millage will build a foundation for the museum to grow on. It certainly will not cover all of its expenses, but it'll give them a foundation of financial support. The 2/10 of a mil will be used to leverage support from the private sector, but also some available grant funding. We as community leaders have been very impressed for the leadership that's shown by the new executive director, Chris Shires. His passion, his leadership, and his real focus on what we can do with this wonderful regional asset is exciting. We're also excited to see the support from the corporate sector and from individuals. And it's now time for all of the people in the Holland community area to recognize how important this is and for us to support it through a very small millage. The museum certainly strengthens us as a community. It leverages what we have in the whole regional area, and certainly downtown. It might be tulip time. It could be lakeshore tourism and whatever. It's an important part of our history, but as I get older, I recognize how important it is to appreciate what came before us. And at some point in time, I hope our story, in fact, will be preserved at this very institution. We all have fond memories of visiting museums, maybe back when we were kids, maybe as we got older, maybe part of family vacations, and certainly many of the things that we've had right here in our own local historic preservation society has really sparked a passion and an interest in many of us. We need to recognize that we fund our priorities. We as individuals fund our priorities, organizations, corporations. we as a community need to fund this and recognize it as the priority that it is. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jerry, Terry, and Jay, for being here today to support your municipalities. Now I'd like to introduce Ed Amaya, who is the President and CEO of Kenowa Industries, Inc., and President of Latin Americans United for Progress. Ed?
Thank you. Well, good morning. Thank you for coming out in this beautiful morning in Holland. I've been a part of the Holland community for 45 years, and so whenever I have the opportunity to promote good for our city, I'm there. And today is one of those opportunities. As I think about our museum, this comes to mind that this is not just the museum or a museum, it's our museum. It tells the story of those who are here now and those who were here and those yet to come. It's an important part of who we are and therefore needs to be preserved and maintained. By voting yes for our museum, it allows us to continue discovering over 400 years of diverse past while inspiring the future. By voting yes for our museum, it will continue to be the place where we preserve the stories of all our different cultures, which makes our city great. By voting yes for our museum, it will continue to play an important role in the lifelong education of our community. By voting yes for our museum, we will be able to provide more innovative and diverse exhibits, which in turn will have a broader appeal to our community, West Michigan, and tourists as a whole. My question is, if not here, where? If not now, when? I believe the time is now and the place is here, our museum. As we work towards spreading the good word in the next days leading up to the vote, my hope is that this vote will not be viewed as just one more thing. My hope is that it will be viewed as the right thing. Our story, our museum, our vote. Holland Museum, yes. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Ed. Now I'd like to introduce Janet Young, who's the former president and CEO of the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland area. Janet?
Thank you, and it's my honor and privilege to be here to say a few words on behalf of the Holland Museum today. Since my retirement from the Community Foundation earlier this spring, I've had the opportunity to invest more of my time in some local education and boards and initiatives that have become a passion for me over the last few years. The Holland Museum is as much about the future as it is about the past. And excuse me. And I'm delighted to see the increased focus on reaching out to children and their families in the Holland Zeeland area. Reaching out with new and increased opportunities such as hands-on exhibits that will foster and spark a love of learning among our children. The Holland Museum is working closely with the ISD and with area educators to develop curriculums that coordinate and support and enhance and augment those opportunities that are offered in the schools. And they're developing programs after school and summer during the time when children are out of the school system. As the museum has recognized the changing demographics of our school, they've also committed themselves to collect and preserve materials and artifacts that are relevant and meaningful, and to offer exhibits that are meaningful to our growingly and increasingly diverse student bodies. As they find themselves on more solid footings, they're able to make these wonderful, rich resources available to all of our students through free admission to K-12 students from the voting districts. Again, it's my privilege to be here to speak on behalf of the museum and on behalf of the children of our community, and I encourage you to vote yes on November 4.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for all coming today to help support our museum. And yes, like Janet said, vote yes on November 4. The polls are open at usually 7, close at 8. You got a long time to vote, but do it now. And for those people that are doing the absentee ballots, please vote early. You should be receiving those within the next week, and there'll be a perfect opportunity to flip the ballot over and look for Holland Historical Trust. That's how it's going to be worded on the ballot. Even though the Holland Historical Trust supports many things, that's the vote you want. And it will eventually support the Holland Museum, Capon House, Settlers House, and the Holland Armory. For more information on the Holland Museum Yes campaign, you can ask for cards that we have available today that you can take with you. If you'd like to volunteer, the card will also give you contact information, or talk to any of the board members or others here on the staff that would love to talk to you about volunteering. And there's different ways to volunteer. If you don't feel like walking, we've got other ways you can talk to people like that. And if you ever get lost and don't know where to look for more information on this important millage, just go to hollandmuseumyes.com and again, or talk to one of us. Thank you for all coming today.